All right, so just quickly and concisely, if I can. It's not going to be that concise because it's not that exact. It's not that complicated. The diet's very simple. The diet's designed for men who have found that they can no longer stand the condition that they're in, or their physical appearance, which they have allowed themselves to decompose into. So the diet's not going to be, it's not some kind of diet for somebody that's getting ready to do a bodybuilding show or anything. It's a diet for a guy that hasn't been taking care of himself, he hasn't been eating properly, and he wants a realistic nutritional plan or regimen that he's going to be able to live with, something he can do. All right. And same for me. That's why I put it together this way. Very simple, not much thought involved. All right. First off, you don't eat obvious garbage. You don't eat obvious garbage. You don't eat obvious junk. If you crave obvious junk and obvious garbage, you might be able to get away with that once a week. You can have a snack. You could have, believe me, if your diet is on point, if your cardio is on point, if your training is on point, you can eat something that you shouldn't eat once or twice a week. You know, I'm not saying a whole day. I'm saying that if you wanted to eat some pizza, eat some pizza. Eat some pizza. But use your own judgment. If you can't eat that pizza with any kind of self-control, if you can't have one piece, two pieces, if you got to eat the whole damn pizza pie, then if you're not built like that, you know, and it's going to wreck you, then don't eat any pizza. Don't open that Pandora's box up if you can't handle it. You know, be realistic. Be honest with yourself. If you like cookies, you can have a few cookies. You can sit down and have a few cookies, dip them in some milk if you like. I don't give a shit. You know, maybe it's cupcakes, maybe it's ice cream. I don't care. You can have that once or twice a week. Listen, this is realistic. You know, this is reality, man. We're real human beings, real people. This isn't for hardcore bodybuilding, you know, extreme obsessive type of people. All right, this is how to get away from the dad bod. You didn't get the dad bod because you only had a snack once or twice a week. You didn't get the dad bod from that. All right, you got the dad bod because you were inactive. You're laying around. You weren't getting any actual exercise. Maybe you didn't do anything or engage in anything that had any kind of cardiovascular component, you know, or anything that you would profit from cardiovascularly. So that's going to be remedied through your cardio. So all these other things are in place. The diet is just one piece to the puzzle. And so the diet, because it's only one piece to the puzzle, it's not the whole puzzle. It doesn't have to be any kind of unrealistic, you know, Spartan type of deal. It just doesn't have to be. If that's your trip, go ahead and do that. But it's not necessary. This is something you can live with, not just a diet that you're just going to stay on for a little while and then call it quits. Me personally, I do not eat red meat. Why do I not eat red meat? Because there's a little thing called diverticulitis that just seems to be widespread now in the United States. I don't know about elsewhere. I think it's probably pretty much the same thing. But older guys are having a whole lot of intestinal tract problems, a whole lot of colon problems, a whole lot of problems, and diverticulitis is one of them, and the cause of which they're not even 100% sure, but it's pretty safe to say that red meat is a high contributing suspect there, is highly suspect in the contribution of the development of diverticulitis. So I just think as an older guy, you probably are better off not to eat red meat. If you don't want to follow that instruction, don't. Do what you want to do. Me, I don't eat red meat. I haven't eaten red meat for probably going on 3 years now. I don't eat red meat. Milk, I do drink milk. I drink Fairlife. I drink Skim. Fairlife Skim. It's lactose free. It's completely lactose free. Milk very slow to digest. Casein is like 70% of the milk is casein, and that's a very slow digesting protein. So that just gives me like a continuous trickle through the day. Plus I can drink milk, sip it throughout the day while I'm working. It's not like something I have to sit down and be committed like I'm committing to a meal. Okay, so let's go meals. How many? Well, first off, I don't have what I would call dedicated meals, except for breakfasts and most of the time dinner. Most nights dinner. They're the two real, what you would call, complete meals. And let me explain that. In between everything else, I just kind of graze. I just call everything else snacks. And I'll have several snacks. I'll have probably 5 snacks a day, maybe 6. Maybe some days only 4. It depends, but the milk is always there, and the milk doesn't count, although it counts the totality of the overall intake for the day. So 4 to 6 snacks, what I call snacks a day. So now breakfast, okay, carbohydrates and fats, loaded most heavily in the morning. First meal of the day, where most people are jump up out of bed and they want to get that protein down right away, and rightfully so. I don't use that mentality now for this thing I'm taking on here now, dumping this dad bod shit now and training as a natural. I get sufficient protein, and the amount of protein that comes from casein and longer digesting proteins is significant enough that when I go to bed at night, I think I'm okay until next day, until the next morning. It's not like mad rush to get more protein. Now I do get it. Now I'm not saying, hear me through. The very first thing I have, however, very first thing in the morning, of course I have black coffee. I may put a little bit of skim milk in that. I can do that. I won't have any sugar though. No. All this processed, refined, processed, table sugar type shit. No. That's a no. No. Cut that out. That is an enemy. That is one. No, I don't mess with that. It's just throwing too much shit in the game. Okay, I already will allow for a snack or two. I'm not going to, a week. I'm not going to throw in. Okay, well, sugar's okay too. Here or there. No, it's not. No. So, no sugar. First thing in the morning is going to be the breakfast. That's going to be where most of my carbohydrates. That's going to be the most dense feeding I have in the course of every day, any day, which with carbohydrates and fats. The breakfast is mostly concerned with carbohydrates and fats, healthy fats and carbohydrates. There may be some protein in there too. In fact, I know there is, but it's insignificant. It's just serendipitously there because of the food choices. I'll have I'll have my ancient grain waffles, right? I'll have that. Woo! Or I'll have my ancient grain waffles in the morning, 3 of those. Or if I know it's going to be a really taxing day and I need the extra calories, or I'm just feeling like I'm not full and I need the calories, muscle-wise, I need more carbohydrate, then I'll have my instead of the ancient grain waffles, I'll have the sweet potato and spelt pancakes, which are also just instant. It's the same kind of thing, and they're gluten-free and organic and all that bullshit. It's good shit. And I'll have that instead because that's going to give me some more carbohydrates. I'll have like 3 of those. And you've already seen how I fix them. I've showed you many times ad nauseum. I know you're sick of seeing it. I put my single ingredient peanut butter that's just made from peanuts. I put that on there, and I put my organic wild blueberries on there. And that's what I'll eat, those 3. Throw that down the hatch. That's the first thing that I'm going to eat. And I'll probably have 2 cups of coffee. Then I'll have my protein shaker made up and all my other food together to go to work. And then I'll go out and jump in a car, head to work. I may drink my protein shake, which is 50 grams of whey isolate. I use isopure powder to use whatever you want to use, if you trust it. I'll drink that like on the way to work, or I'll get to work. Now, sometimes I'll just mix that with water and drink it down. If I'm not going to drink it down and I want to draw it out a little bit, protracted, because maybe I think it's too dense with protein. I don't need all that protein that period of time it just takes me to drink it. Lump 50 grams. In that case, I'll actually mix it with skim milk, which is going to give me more protein and more calories, but I will take longer to drink it, and I'll basically just drink like a half or a third of it, and then a little while I'll drink another portion of it, and then maybe another portion until it's done. And during that course of time, I'll also, of course, be drinking from my milk separately, and I'll have some of my snacks. Okay, what kind of snacks? Well, tuna fish, and yes, tuna fish out of a can is processed, but I get the wild albacore chunk tuna, the wild caught shit, and just in sea salt, is it? Whatever's in there, and water and sea salt. And I'll eat a can of that in the course of a day. Then I'll have usually I'll have 2 yogurts, and the yogurts I have are they're organic, etc., same kind of shit with chia seeds in them. I love them. They're awesome. They're delicious. I'll have 2 of those single serving yogurts. They're considered snacks for me. One of my snacks, 2 of my snacks. I'll just eat my tuna fish with 1 spoon, you know. And yeah, the tuna fish has some mayo in there, and the mayo is a fat-free shit, and I'll have some relish in there with that, you know, some pickles, and whatever else. You know, Val may sometimes put Old Bay spice in there or something along those lines. So I'll eat that, like not at one time, but a few times throughout the day. You know, I'll peck at that until it's gone. So by the end of the day, when I go home, you know, I leave work and go home, I've had my breakfast in the morning, and then I have had my protein drink, my 50-gram protein drink. I've had 94 grams of Skim Fairlife. I've had a can that's something like 34 grams of protein in the tuna. And I've had 2 yogurts, and there's probably 13 grams a piece in that yogurt, so it's another 26 grams. And then when I come home, I will, depending on if I'm going to the gym or not, if I'm working out at nighttime, I will have, that's the only time I'll eat after 6 p.m. If I'm not working out on a night that I don't work out, I don't eat anymore after 6 p.m. I get off work at 6 p.m. So when I go home, I am either going to have some fish that Val will make me. It might even be salmon, which has some good healthy fat in it. I'll have that, but it has to be early. It has to be as soon as I get into the door, I'm going to eat that salmon. So realistically, that is after 6 p.m. It's probably 7 p.m. I'll sit down and eat that salmon. I'm in bed by like 10, 7, 8, 9, 10, so 3 hours. You know, my last meal is going to be 3 hours before I go to bed, and that would be considered a meal. And I'll usually have that with something on the side, but it's not going to be anything heavy. It'll be you know, something simple, something light. It might be coleslaw, something along those lines. Nothing heavy. And that's it. That's for the day. There are substitutions and things I can make just to, as alternatives, just to break the monotony. You can have different things. Now, if I knew I was going to the gym, on the night that I go to the gym, then I may eat some rice cakes throughout the day. And believe it or not, and I'm telling you what, I'm losing body fat. I'm shaping up with it. So consider that before I tell you what it is. And then you're going to say, Jesus, God, he's eating that. I will actually get like the Quaker Oat, the small rice cakes. And they'll be flavored. I'll get like the cheddar ones, a whole bag of that shit. If I'm going to do like legs tonight or something like that, I may eat those throughout the day. Maybe not a whole bag, but I'll probably eat half of that bag throughout the day, just to have the additional calories, the additional carbohydrates and fuel. And that, because when I come home, I'm not having that dinner meal. And I'll eat all the stuff I've already told you, plus I'll have that, and then I'll not have any dinner meal when I come home. Instead, I'll go to the gym. And you know, and I'm drinking water all day long too. I'm drinking water when I go to the gym, of course. I'll drink like a liter of water or a liter and a half of water at the gym while I'm there. And then I come home, and now I may have 25 grams of whey isolate after I get home from the gym. I was doing too much cardio right out of the box, and yeah, I was getting lean, sure, it was working. But I also wasn't putting the muscle back on, and I was feeling more run down than ever. I was feeling shittier than ever. Add to that I had my fats restricted too far. I turned the fats up, all healthy fats now. I don't purposely eat anything that has, you know, crappy fat in it, saturated fat and shit like that. So all the healthy fats, you know, avocados, nuts, fish, you know, along that kind of thing, that kind of sort of shit. That's what I usually eat for my healthy fats. So I get them healthy fats in there, turn that healthy fats up, cut the cardio out for now, and guess what? Started building muscle again naturally. Started to come back up naturally. So I've not only lost more than I needed to lose without the test, but then I came back and gained muscle back already as a natural since I've been clear of the test. So there's proof in the pudding right there that you don't stop, you don't come off your test and lose all your gains. If you come off your test and lose all your gains, either A, you didn't have that many gains really, or B, you don't know what the hell you're doing. And in your case, all drugs really was all drugs. Okay, so proportions and ratios between my macros. Well, carbs and fats, I kind of move around a little bit, from day to day. Protein, that's pretty much always a constant. Carbohydrates and fats, that varies from day to day. Like I said, that depends on how I'm looking, how I'm feeling, and that's what it should depend on. How I look, how I feel, and what's going on with my body progressively. What's it looking like? What's it shaped like? What's my body fat looking like? How much muscle am I carrying? Realistically, I will not accept any fat gain. I'm quite the opposite. I'm trying to lose more fat, as much fat as possible. So that's what I do with the carbs and the fats. You got to feel your way out with that shit. The protein stays a constant for me, and I move the carbs and fats around. But even all my life, there was a period, one of the better things that worked for me is when they call it carb cycling. I call it bouncing my carbs. I used to bounce my carbs, where I would have a high day and 2 low days, or I might have a high day and a low day, a high day and a low day, that kind of thing. And once you get it really dialed in and you're in good shape, it shows on your body from one day to the next. You can predict, and you know exactly you recognize it. You can see yourself the day after the high day, what you look like from the high day, and the day after the low day, the difference in your appearance. So you can time it out, and you can pretty much predict which days you're going to be bigger and fuller and harder looking and not. And bigger and fuller equals harder appearance-wise once you get lean. And how many calories? No idea. No idea in the world. Just going completely by feel. All right, very quickly, I'm just reviewing this video that I shot in the car on the way home from work. As usual, I'm absent-minded. I left a few things out. Just want to fill in some blanks here. Number one, I'm incorrect about my protein intake. My protein intake is at 250 grams per day. That's what I hit. If I go 260, I don't sweat it, but I want to hit 250 every day. Why? It's a sweet spot for me. I don't get this. I don't get this under 250. I just don't, okay? Argue as you want how much protein you need, whatever. I don't get this combination of size and conditioning. I'm starting to get harder and naturally, and I don't get that at under 250. I just don't. You know that I go with the high protein anyway when I'm trying to lose body fat because it's thermogenic. Out of all your macros, protein's the most thermogenic macro. So, there are other ways too. Running high fiber. The fiber is thermogenic. But here's the problem with that is if you have low testosterone, men with low testosterone, here's something to pay attention to. If you run too much fiber, that's just going to make it worse. That's going to exacerbate the condition. It can. So you really want to feel that. Be careful. So having said that, my kale drinks from my blueberries that I normally drink, sometimes some strawberries in there. I don't drink them every single day now. I may drink them every other day, and they're copious. It's quite a bit of that. A lot. I may drink that every other day. And then the beet juice. I'll have the beet juice, a very decent amount of beet juice every day. Every other day. So it's a stagger it. Every other day I'll have the kale with the blueberries or strawberries in it, or both. And then the next day I'll have the beet juice, and then back to the kale. I do that every day. The milk, I actually get more than just 1 Fairlife a day. Sometimes I get 2 Fairlifes a day. Sometimes I get 1.5. Sometimes I get 1. It depends what else I'm going to juggle there to fill in the gaps with the protein. Don't always have tuna fish. Can't have that every single day, that's for sure. I'll have that like maybe twice a week. And I'll have chicken. I'll have chicken the rest of the time. I eat a lot of chicken. All right, so that's about it. Just trying to fill in some of the gaps. Also, as much water as you can handle. As much water as you can intake, especially around the summertime. And one thing, even when I do eat past 6 p.m. on nights I do, which I'll have the dinner or I'll go to the gym. If I go to the gym, it's only protein afterwards, but I'll have more carbs in the day. Try to load the carbs earlier in the day. Try to load the healthy fats most of the time earlier in the day. More if it's going to be a workout. Less if it's not going to be a workout, and then I'll make it up with some kind of a healthy fat in the evening. But it has to be like 7 p.m. It can't be much later, and I'll be in bed by 10 or 11 p.m. Also, no carbohydrates. Usually no carbohydrates after 6 p.m. Normally, no carbohydrates after 6 p.m. That's it.